Hey guys, Parfax here, and today we're going to be giving you a video about the new upcoming meta PVE DPS. Alright, let's get started. So if you've been playing New World for a while, you know that basically in order to get into a PVE expedition, especially in mutations, you have to be running Hatchet, Greatsword, or maybe Spear. Other than that, as DPS, you basically don't get accepted. Well, next patch, there's a lot changing, and I believe this is going to be the best meta DPS. Now, before I go ahead and get into it, Greatsword will still be the #1 DPS, highest DPSing, but a few things have changed that, well, maybe will make that a little bit different to where everybody's not running just Greatsword. Hatchet got hit pretty hard with some of the nerfs. Raging Torrent got nerfed really hard. A lot of its damage and its fortification got hit pretty hard by changing it to heavy attacks versus light attacks. And natural defenses, mainly fortifications, got nerfed significantly. This means that when you go into an expedition, you're going to be dealing less damage. And crit damage got nerfed as well. It went to additive other than multiplicative. So basically, most people are going to be doing less damage next patch, but have no fear, we have the only build that got buffed. Now, before you say bow got nerfed because it got 15% damage nerf across the board, and then they got the Bane change, which we'll start with the Bane change. So here is the Bane change that I was talking about. We can see here, I don't have one on the PTR, unfortunately. I opened up every single box and didn't get one ranged weapon with Bane. But you can see that Beast Bane, it's going to give us 23% damage to Beast, and it's going to give us 24% damage at 625. Now, that is a 9% damage increase over other Banes. So that's basically a 9% damage buff to any magical weapon, which includes Void Gauntlet, even Void Blade, and ranged weapon. Now, the only kind of oddball here is if you want to run Throwing Hatchet, you do not get this increase, because they basically just gave it to specific weapons and not really coded it to be ranged attacks, which is unfortunate because I would like to have seen a single target, maybe like ranged Hatchet build. But I digress. We get the Bane change, which is going to be massive, which is the reason why we started looking at the Fire Staff. So we're here on the Fire Staff, and let's go over the skill tree. So for the skill tree, we are running the 3 abilities of Flamethrower, Meteor Shower, and Pillar. Now, before you get all bent out of shape, first off, I know you guys hate Flamethrower, but here's the deal. Flamethrower is going to be your best ability by far, because this is going to allow us to stack our 5 stacks of Smolder on every target. This is going to allow us to do nice big AoE damage at all times. This is going to replace our basic attacks. Now, we're going to basic attack every great now and again when the targets get a little bit too far away, but we're going to be running this. Other benefits of running a Flamethrower build is, first off, we were running Void Gauntlet, as you saw in our back bar. You don't want to be running Void Gauntlet and putting the Oblivion on yourself far back from everybody else. You want to be able to have that, give damage to all of your group mates and not just you. So Flamethrower allows me to put down the Oblivion in a good location to have a bunch of people hit it at the same time. Maybe you put it in a spot where your melee DPS can kind of stick on the front of it, and then you kind of are on the back of it, giving you a little bit extra, leeway, so you're not getting hit by some of the abilities that the melee guys are getting hit from. But Flamethrower, it's just really good. Now, it also goes through Phalanx, which is great, and just allows you, like I said, to AoE cleave really nicely. Next, we're running Meteor Shower and Pillar. Now, before you say Parfax, you have to have Fireball in there. Well, let's run a few of the numbers. First off, the Fireball change to its passive, or to its weapon perk, now only works above 50% health. So basically, you cut that extra damage in half, and that is essentially its total DPS, which is still fine, but these other 2 abilities do more damage. So we have Meteor Shower. It has, and says, has 100% weapon damage on the first hit, and then 50% weapon damage on the remaining one. So let's go ahead and hit our Meteor Shower and see. So we get 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits, and sometimes it hits 5. I don't know why it either hits 4 or 5. I guess just kind of a little bit of the RNG there. But even at the base of 4 hits, that is still a 200 damage increase. Well, it's 250 actually, because you have 100 for the first hit, and then you have 350 hits, so it's 250. When it hits that extra time, that is a 300% weapon damage ability, which is significantly higher than any other ability we have. Higher than Incinerate, which is 150%. You do get a damage bonus if you get the perk as well, but just massive damage. Now let's look at Pillar of Fire. Pillar of Fire is 165% weapon damage at base, a nice big AoE increase from the PTR. And then we have Pillar of Fire deals 5% more damage for each stack of Smolder. We can get 5 stacks of Smolder, so that's an additional 25% damage. So that is 165, 185, 190% weapon damage. Now if you have the perk for this, you get your cooldown significantly lower. Let's just look at the base cooldowns of all these with the gear that I have on. We have 9.7 seconds, we have 14.6 seconds, and we have 11.7 seconds. So not only is this cooldown already the lowest, not only does it deal the most damage, but with the perk on it, it's going to get the cooldown even more. Even just hitting one target, it's going to be like almost like a 6-second cooldown. So this is an insane ability, very underrated. And you just keep 5 stacks of Smolder up on the target, and you're good. I did test out the Backdraft passive. We're going the Flamethrower build, so we're not going to be doing a ton of auto attacking or basic attacking anyway, but this is just a bad passive. The Rune of Helios is just strictly better. All right, that's the Fire Staff. Let's look at the secondary weapon, which is our Void Gauntlet. So let's go to the Void Gauntlet tree and tell you we got a little bit of a different scenario here as well. So we're running, of course, Oblivion Scream. Very standard. Now if you want to run a little bit more damage, Orb of Decay is going to be the highest secondary damaging ability, but honestly it's going to stack a couple little dots on there. It's going to give you, you know, a little bit of extra increased damage. It does inflict, I believe, a little bit of rend when you get down here, one of its abilities. Yeah, so we can get a little bit of utility, a little bit extra damage here. But let's look at Rupture. So if you don't know the change to Oblivion, Oblivion got changed, and it's down here at this last passive. This is going to give stamina regen instead of flat stamina now. Now this says 0.25% stamina regen. I'm assuming that's just like 25%. I don't know if that's a visual bug or what. I haven't necessarily tested it yet, but this is a massive nerf to this ability, because especially a lot of the tanks that just want to hold block and aren't really looking to, you know, in my opinion, tank properly by hitting the target. This is a massive nerf to those people. Now we go over here to Essence Rupture. Remember, we're losing stamina on Oblivion, so let's look at Essence Rupture. Fire projectile dealing 100% weapon damage that inflicts Essence Rupture for 10 seconds, healing anyone that hits it for 20% of the damage done. So we have a little bit of extra healing for everybody that's hitting it. The tank, all the DPS getting a little bit extra healing, which is always nice. Not something we really care about, but extra healing is good. Then we have allies additionally receive 15% stamina when hitting the afflicted target. So again, we're kind of making up a little bit for the Oblivion nerf here with the Essence Rupture, but only on a single target, and they do have to hit the target. Okay, and then the last one, friendly allies within 4 meters affected the target heal for 80% of your weapon damage when Essence Rupture ends. Really don't care about the heal that much, but any extra bit of healing is going to be a nice change. Now, one thing we can do with Essence Rupture is we can actually animate and cancel it to negate a lot of the damage loss that we'd have over Orb. Now, Orb's still going to do more damage, but what we can do here is we can basic attack and then hit the Essence Rupture, and you can get essentially a double auto off. So here's what it's going to look like. That was a little bit slow. You can actually get it a lot faster, but you can get a double essence, basically a double auto off really quickly to kind of keep up our damage. Oh, and then there goes the heal. So let's look around about what your rotation is going to look like. First off, you're going to want to start on your Void Gauntlet bar. We're going to put down Oblivion, Essence Rupture, and then we're going to go into stacking our dots. We're going to go here, boop. Now we're going to go over to Fire Staff. We're going to start off with Meteor Shower. We're going to do Flamethrower. Once we get full stacks of Smolder, we're going to go ahead and hit Pillar, and then we're going to Flamethrower. All right, we're going to make sure whenever we go to our Void Gauntlet bar, we want to make sure all of our abilities are on cooldown. All right, we're going to go hit Pillar. We're going to continue this. We're going to go ahead and hit Meteor Shower, and then we're going to go, and then we're back to Flamethrowing. Pillar's up, Pillar. It's actually a very interactive play style, and with enough cooldown reduction, especially if you have the Pillar Fire perk, this is going to allow you to really pop off and actually have a very interactive play style, which you don't currently get with most builds. So boom. Now we'll have to hit health pots or mana pots. This is gonna be something you will have to chug on this build, but it's a very interactive, very kind of group huggy, because you have stuff like Essence Rupture and Oblivion, and it's going to allow you to do massive AoE damage. And you can see there the playstyle was actually very fun. Now if you're sitting in a Sacred Ground, instead of hitting a mana pot, you can just suck a little bit of your life away, because hopefully you're going to be sitting in a Sacred Ground and you're not going to be getting hit. Get you your mana back as fast as possible. But you can see the playstyle is very fun, interactive. You are playing at a hybrid melee-ish range. You're not playing right up on the target, but you are playing, you know, about this far back is where you're gonna be playing most of the time. Just enough range where you can swap, put down a void, or I mean a Oblivion here, to make sure you get all of the DPS are able to get inside the void, and then we're gonna be hitting our Essence Rupture. With the change to the stamina, it's not really that big of a deal for the tank to have the Oblivion, because hopefully with the Essence Rupture, they should be able to get that, you know, that stamina back with the Essence Rupture over the Oblivion. So you don't need to run up there, drop it like that. This is probably the absolute best way to put it. That way you're still back enough to hit your flamethrower. I was actually a little bit too far back there. And still good enough for everybody to actually get in it. But this is going to be, I think, the meta. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about gear. So when it comes to gear, we'll talk about the Fire Staff first. I don't have anything close to good on this server. It's just, I opened up, as you can see here, I have all these weapons, and none of them have Bane. None of them are really good at all. So when we look at our Fire Staff here, it's going to be pretty simple. We want Keen, Vicious, Bane. Because we are running a weapon that doesn't get any guaranteed crits, we do want to make sure we have Keen here. Now, you can run something, you don't necessarily have to have Keen, like it's not the most. Vicious is your biggest thing you do want. So you want Vicious and Bane. So if you have something like Vicious, Bane, and then Attunement, it's going to be very good. That has the highest, you get high on RNG, that has the highest output potential. But because we are running a weapon that doesn't have guaranteed crits, we don't get backstabs, we don't get headshots, Keen, Vicious, Bane is going to be great. Now, if you want to run something like, you can even run Bane, Vicious, and a weapon perk. So like Meteor Shower is going to be the only one you really want to run here. You can run Pillar, which would be a lot of fun, but it's going to be a little bit of a damage loss. But you do have to watch. You're going to be able to get to Empower Cap pretty quickly with this build. So Meteor Shower is good, but maybe not great. Next on your Void Gauntlet, pretty simple here. We want Bane, Keen, and then whatever you want to put on as your third perk. We really don't need any of the weapon perks, either on our Void Gauntlet or our gear. If you want to get like a Putrefying Scream here, that's fine. That way, if you're running something that has any life stealing, you can, you know, maybe get some heal cut. But honestly, probably Keen, Vicious, and Bane here as well. But Keen, Bane is the big key here, because we want our cooldown reduction with the Keen. When it comes to our jewelry, the thing we'll talk about here is the ring. We definitely want Keen on our ring. We want Hardy, Keen, and then something like Refreshing will be very good. We really don't need the burning stacks here. We do have already the passive in the fire tree. I believe it's right here. That makes our smolders last 20% longer. So we don't have much of a problem with our smolder stacks dropping off. Even in most fights where we're running around a little bit, they last so long that it's not really an issue. We can swap weapons. We can do our full combo on the backside, swap to our front side and get it. You can get it there, but I would much prefer something like a Refreshing, Keen, and Hardy is going to be what you want. There's actually a ring out there that has those exact 3 perks that you can run for this PvE build. Normal, your amulet, you're going to want health, you're going to want a elemental protection. Pretty standard. And then after that, it's whatever you want. I mean, you can go with a wide variety of abilities, but as long as you have those 2, you're good. And then on your earring, you're going to want Refreshing Toast and Refreshing. Outside of that, you can go with whatever you want. Gear, always pretty similar. You're going to want like Elemental Version. You're going to want Refreshing. You're going to want Ward. And then the only perks you really need is, first and foremost, you're going to want Empowered Meteor Shower. And then second, you're going to want Refreshing Pillar of Fire. Other than that, you can get Accelerated Flamethrower if you'd want, but I'd much prefer like an Elemental Version over that, or a Refreshing over that anyway. Remember, Refreshing, the more Refreshing you have, the more damage you're going to do. So make sure you keep that in mind, because the more abilities we can go ahead and spam, because we are on a class that really relies on our abilities for damage. Meteor, crazy damage. Pillar, crazy damage. you know, and even some group utility with our Oblivion, crazy damage. All these things are going to increase our damage, so the more refreshing you have, the more damage you can do. When it comes to our attributes, we're going 100 con and 410 intelligence. Now, this is something that we don't have completely fleshed out because next patch we are getting a big nerf to our defenses. We don't know where people are going to sit. Now, you know, incredibly BIS players, perfect players, they're still going to run basically no con because if you don't get hit, it doesn't matter. But we are losing all of our fortifications. Go into your next dungeon. Right now, Laz is up. So go into Laz, record it, and then when you're done, watch how many times you're sitting in a sacred ground specifically, and you're getting wailed on by mobs, but staying up because of the sacred ground. That's going to be hard to do next patch because the fortified changes are going to gut your defenses. You're losing 60%, 70% of your defenses next patch. So you're going to be taking significantly more damage. That's not even talking about some of the other overall nerfs that have happened. So you're going to need to be more tanky right now, well, next patch, than you are right now. So keep that in mind, which is the reason why Hatchet kind of on its way out, in my opinion. It did get some interesting changes with like Defy Death. But one thing about Hatchet is they did move some of its passives. We can actually go over to the Hatchet tree here. They moved some of its hatchets, like this one. Where's that? Yeah, so this one, the heavy attack and power, that might have been the one, but they moved some of its abilities from light attacks to heavy attacks. Abilities and yeah, here we go. So abilities and heavy attacks deal 20% more damage to targets below 30% health. This used to be on light attacks and heavy attacks, I believe. So that is a massive, massive nerf to Enraged Strikes. And the big thing here, Raging Torrent now can only, when you have the perk, only happen once per like half a second or something like that. So you're not going to be able to just spam Raging Torrent anymore. So it is a massive, massive decrease. And Fortification. So this is hitting the target with a heavy attacks grants Fortify, increasing your armor by 15% for 3 seconds. These used to be light attacks, 3 consecutive light attacks. So we're losing defenses because of the Fortified change. We're losing defense because of our skill tree, and we're losing a damage because of stuff like Enraged Strikes. So we're losing damage and the crit change. Crit change, multiplicative is the way it is on live. It's going to additive, so that is a net loss for every build across the board for that change. So we have a ton of nerfs to the Hatchet. The Greatsword did get some nerfs. The big thing is Greatsword's going to be the top DPS next patch, but it's also going to be the build that everybody dies in. We're getting a ton of defenses lost. People die a lot with Greatsword already, and they're going to be significantly less tanky next patch. So I think Firestaff Void Gauntlet is going to be the absolute safest / meta DPS that you're going to want to see in your dungeons. You are going to have some melee. You still need the Rens and stuff from like Spear. So it's not going to be, you know, as cut and dried as right now, where you just want three melee. You know, you want some maybe safe DPSs with Firestaff. It's going to give you the Oblivions up. It's going to give you a lot more AoE burst damage. And then you're still going to want some of the melee to give you the Rens, the super high damage output as well, the weakens and stuff like that from Spear. So I think it's going to be an interesting meta where you're actually going to have a combination of, you know, mages and melee. So it's going to be really cool. Go out there, get yourself some BIS Firestaff gear because it's coming. It is going to be one of the meta DPSs next patch. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Like always, go out there and enjoy your mage gameplay. We will have more PvE mage builds. We will have some PvP mage builds. We'll be having a ton of content coming up. I know the content's been lacking a little bit lately. We have some IRL stuff going on, but hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe like always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.